Okay, what we're going to do here is take the derivative of two different trig functions to show you how to do it. The other two are going to be part of your homework. Meanwhile, here's the first one. I want to take the derivative of tangent. Now the thing about it is, all we know how to take the derivative of is sines and cosines, but we also know how to take derivatives of fractions. And remember that tangent is a fraction. So this is just a derivative of sine over cosine. Sine over cosine, like this. And remember how the quotient rule works? Yes, it's the derivative of the top times the bottom minus the derivative of the bottom, which is minus sine, times the top, which is just sine, all over the bottom squared. Like that. Now, what can we do? Well, notice that this minus sign and this minus sign cancel. And notice that the whole top now is just cosine squared plus sine squared. So the whole top is just 1. So what we get is that the derivative of tangent is 1 over cosine squared. And half the books in the country want you to write it exactly like that. Like that. The other half of the people in the country want you to remember that 1 over cosine is secant. So that this is secant squared. And that is how you take the derivative of tangent. You had to know the derivative of sine, you had to know the derivative of cosine, you had to know how to take the derivative of fraction, and you had to remember that cosine squared plus sine squared equals 1. So that's the derivative of tangent. The other thing I promised to try to do was take the derivative of cosecant. Derivative of cosecant. These things show up in applications where if we happen to know the derivative of secant or cosecant, it makes some things simpler. So here we go. Last one I'm going to do. I want the derivative of cosecant. Remember that cosecant is 1 over sine. I'm sorry that the codes don't work out that way, but here we go. This is 1 over sine. Here we go. Sine like this. And we know how to take the derivative of a fraction. It's the derivative of the top, which is 0, times the bottom. I mean, really, this is who cares, right? Minus the derivative of the bottom, which is cosine t, times the top, which is 1, all over the bottom squared. So this is going to be sine squared. Now, what do we have here? This is just 0, so that can go away. So this is going to be equal to minus cosine t over sine squared and half the country wants you to remember that. The other half of the country wants you to rewrite this without fractions if you can, which is really weird. The minus sign still has to be there. I have a cosine over sine, that's cotangent. Then 1 over sine is left, that's cosecant. And then if you write those in alphabetical order, we're going to get minus cosecant, cotangent, but the thing to remember there is that all we did was, we knew what cosecant was, we knew how to take the derivative of fractions, and we rewrote a little bit. It looks kind of mysterious and it's a little awkward to remember later. It's much better to memorize it. But you're going to have to do the others too anyway, so knowing what went on is going to help.